So I've got a pine cone here, and I've also got some green paint. And I'm just going to paint my pine cone green first. You don't have to get every nook and cranny, but try to get the areas that are a little more visible to the eye. Okay, so I'm gonna just allow that to dry for a few minutes. You can decide whether or not to add a stump for your Christmas tree. For a Christmas tree, that's obviously, you can see here, it's not flat, it's at an angle. It's not going to sit perfectly upright. So you may want to add a stump to help straighten that out. Here, this is a wine bottle cork that I'm using, and I'm just going to cut that in half with a knife. What I'll do is, as I'm cutting, I just turn it. You can decorate your mini Christmas tree however you want. I have some silver pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to wrap it around so it looks like tinsel. So I put some red and silver tinsel in. I can use this cut piece of cork and glue that down. So I want to make sure to put plenty of glue if I'm going to use this. Put a good amount of glue here first. And then to make sure that this is going to sit straight, I want to put it down on the table and move it around so that it glues straight. Then once I make sure that it is straight, I can add a little more glue on the sides to make sure that's not going to fall off. So I wasn't able to find red and green beads, so I went and just got these Mardi Gras beads. So I'm just going to cut these apart and use these as these little beads as the ornaments. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of these off, and then I'm going to glue them to my tree. You can make a star to go at the top. There's a lot of things you can do to make a star. I have a yellow paint swatch here. You can also just use yellow construction paper, but I'm going to draw a star in back with a pencil. That way, if I mess up, I can kind of just fix that up to the size I want. And then I can fold this and cut that right out with my scissors. Might be easier to cut the star out first and then cut each side. You can take some gold pipe cleaner. You can just wrap it and twist it around a pencil. Then take that off. And then twist it a little tighter at the top. And open it a little bit at the bottom. I'm going to take my star and I'm just going to put a little glue on it, and I'm glue the star to the top of the little gold spiral I had made. Can add a little more glue to close that up. Got my star up here, and what I can do is some of the paper is showing on this side. I can just trim that off. I can glue this to the top of my tree. And then I'm just going to add these little beads I cut off. And here's my tree. I've glued on everything. Now, if you have trouble getting your Christmas tree to stand on your table, instead of doing this, you can instead glue it to a piece of cardboard, or you can get a cute little pot, paint it red or a different color, and just sit it in the pot as well. And that's another option. So I picked a few branches, and you want them really small, these little tiny twigs. And I like the ones that kind of have a bunch of different branches, offshoot twigs coming off to use as the antlers. So I'm going to remove all these leaves first. And I can also trim this branch to the size I want. You always want to go a little bit bigger first, just in case. You don't want to go too small, because once you trim it too small, you can't get it any bigger. So I've got my trimmed twigs that I'm going to use as the antlers. And to put these in, you have a few options. You can just glue them right on, or you can decide to use a nail and puncture a hole to get your twigs started in. Got a small hole going here, and I can kind of squeeze that twig in. It might, if it's too small, you can always open it up just a little bit with your scissors. And then I can also put that glue, some glue there to make it stay. So you want to kind of place one antler first and then decide where your other antler is going to be. You can even mark it with a pencil first. After you've placed your twigs in, then you can decide if you want to trim these a little bit more to make them a little smaller. So for the eyes, I just went and got some googly eyes from the dollar store. If you don't want to spend the money on them, you can also just make some eyes out of construction paper as well. So I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue these down, and I'll put some hot glue down on here a little bit here first. Let's place that one eye. And a little more on this side. careful not to burn yourself. For the nose, you can use a red bead or a red pom-pom. Or you can just leave it just the way it looks here, because I only have a white bead, so I'm going to paint this red first, and I'm going to use that as the nose. So I've just got my bead on my nail because it's a little easier for me to hold while I'm painting. Okay, so I can, while my nose is drying, I can decide which cork I want to use for a body, so I will use this one. So I'll put the legs in first, similar to how I did it before. If you don't want to mess around with a nail, you can also just hot glue it on as well. You don't have to use the nail to put it in. So we want to make the legs all the same size. I've got a larger twig here. I can make them anywhere between 1.5 to 2 inches, and to make sure they are the same size, I'll just mark where the 2 inches is here. And we'll just cut those at the marks. And you may need to get pruners if your scissors don't work for this. Keep in mind there are other things you can use for the legs. You do not have to use twigs. So I kind of want to put one leg in at a time to make sure it's going to, they should be directed in a similar direction. And then I can just put a little glue right in there. Make sure those don't fall back out. Then I want to do the same thing at the end here for the front legs. And I want to put them a little bit further back this time. Once you've got your legs in, you do want to make sure that first that your body is going to stand. Mine is slightly wobbly, but it still works, and I can always push one in a little bit more to make it a little less wobbly. And so now I can glue on the head to the body. I want it to be at an angle like this. So I want to make sure to put a little extra glue on this side, right on the top right here. And then I am going to place my head. So that's dry and it's held in place. And I got a little rid of that. I got rid of some of the excess glue that fell down here. I just pulled it out. But I do want to add just a little more glue at the back here to make sure it's going to stay. And once the nose is dry, you can also add that on with just some glue. I'm going to try to place it so the holes of the beads are not showing as much. I'm done with my ornaments. For the other two ornaments, the paper snowflake and the painted reindeer ornament, check out the link below in the description section, which I will post next week. Thanks for watching.